Hello, I'm Ben Smith, Product Manager at MerchantLink, and welcome to part 3 of our series on TransactionShield with MICROS Res. Let's talk a little bit now about implementation. There are several key tips you need to know in order to implement the solution properly for your merchants. The first tip is to check the equipment. Make sure that the MICROS hardware that you have, the software versions that you have, the credit card software versions that you have, and the devices fit the need. Make sure that you have devices that were distributed to you from MICROS, not from the manufacturer or from a separate distributor. MICROS and the device providers have agreed very specific configurations and key injection relative to the TransactionShield solution. You don't want to take the risk of setting up a system and having it fail due to improper configuration or improper key injection when the devices are ready for you at MICROS. Also, please read your README notes, read your PMAs, read your README first installation docs. They will give you some very pointed and useful tips related to setting up the devices, configuring the system, and making sure it's working right. The second tip is secure the device. There's really 2 components to that particular tip. The first being inspection upon receipt of the devices. You want to take a real good look at the devices and make sure there are no defects, no damage, especially to the keypad and to the card reader sections of the device. Also, the second component to that is considering the use of the device in the business operational setting. These devices are meant to be customer-facing devices. If they are going to be used by customers, you want to make sure that they are secured, that they aren't going to be pulled, twisted, dropped, stepped on, unplugged, etc. Make sure the device is where it needs to be and is being used for what it should be used for. The reason why that's important is these devices incorporate tamper-resistant technology. Some of the slightest variations in electrical current, dropping them, pressure, heat, will cause these tamper-resistant technology features to be kicked in. And what that will do is shut your device down and make it impossible for you to use. Establish a stable power source. Make sure that these devices are connected to a system that has constant power or that's on a battery backup or a surge protector. Fluctuations in power or loss of power to these devices unexpectedly can trip the tamper-resistant technology and make them unusable. Verify point-of-sale settings. You want to make sure, 1, that the feature set for turning on encryption is on, that it pertains to the workstations that have the devices connected to them, and that all the settings and the drivers are aligned to do this particular function. Secondly, you want to check your user permissions, your user privilege classes, to make sure that your clerks and your managers do not have the permissions to go into, let's say, the credit card batch program or some other res system to enter card data. That is a way potentially that card data could get around the encryption systems and into the MICROS system in the clear. You don't want that. Now that you've gone through all of those measures, I would strongly encourage you to perform a restart from the MICROS control panel. You really want to make sure that all of those configuration changes that you've made and the updates you've put in place are taking effect. Go to the MICROS control panel, bring the restaurant down, make sure all the workstations stop, and then bring them back up again. MerchantLink is a customer-driven organization. If there's anything that we can do to help you, please let us know. And for more information, we invite you to visit our online community for MICROS dealers at merchantlinkcommunity.com.